From In the Shadow of Spindrift House by Mira Grant. All time is limited, all time is passing, as humanity builds straight walls on bending, bowing cliffs, and along the lines of rolling hills, that time passes even faster, offended until it flees into the future, where straight lines sag, where angles bend and break and fall apart, where the softness, freed from its geometrical bindings, can finally run free. This, then, is the punishment for those harsh lines, for those unforgiving angles, that humanity's time should run fast and hot and short. This is Gothic.
An email to my foster guardian, Ryan Lawrence. Hey bro, there is so much that happened today. Got a text this morning telling me again of this reading of the will. I decided to go. Well, I didn't know what to expect, but I found out a little bit more about my biologicals. I'm still absorbing what happened, but long story short, this crazy, rich, 62-year-old guy named Lazarus Caine slept with his 18-year-old housekeeper named Amelia Marcotte. She got pregnant, and he forced her to give me up. I always told you that if I was in a situation like this, all I really wanted was an apology. Well, he did say he was sorry. I'm still angry and confused, though. I mean, 35 years later, he's dead, and she's over in Bellevue. I am going to see if I can meet up with her, though. Oh, and get this, dude. I have a half-sibling. Their name is Skein, and they seem like good people. They have a very fun energy and personality. Rides a motorcycle, for now. For real, though, dude, it's all legit. They had all of the birth certificates and adoption documents, which I found out about when I was signing the paperwork for a lighthouse. Dude, a lighthouse. And $100K a year to care for it. I mean, it's a lot of paperwork, but everything looks like it's on the level. You'll have to come check it out when you get back to Seattle again. I also met some other family members, an uncle, a couple of cousins, and a couple of something-in-laws. Very odd smattering of people. They all received various things ranging from an expensive estate and 30-something million, to a car, to some books. Oh yeah, did I mention? A lighthouse? There is something that isn't right, though. There's a stipulation in the will that inheritance will pass to the next on the beneficiary list instead of the next of kin for a period of 10 years. I'm keeping my guard up. I will have to keep an eye on everyone. You know, I don't ever really feel paranoid, but there is something about this whole place that makes me uneasy. There was an accident tonight, and one of the beneficiaries is badly hurt. With that and the ferry incident I told you about yesterday, I get the feeling that someone is trying to harm the family members. Don't worry, I'm watching my back, and I have an exit plan. Text or call later. I'd like to talk more in depth. Miss you. Your favorite clown, Jason.
Hey there, Sojourners, and welcome back to Elk Island. It's now been a couple of days that our Inheritors have had on the island as they wait for news from Carl's medics on how he's doing. So, everybody, where you been holding up during these last couple of days? What you been doing?
Well, I think mostly I have been making sure that Allison successfully replaces all of her stuff. Make sure she has all the essentials and stuff like that, and reassuring her that, yes, the shoes and the undergarments are essential, even though she doesn't think they are. And I was just debating, I don't know if we've been up to the main house yet, because I kind of think Allison is still kind of shell-shocked by the whole thing and maybe wants to take it in bite-sized pieces.
Allison is indeed trying to understand all of this, everything that's going on. And so she didn't really want to go up yet, but she did think, she did say something along the lines of, what would a rich person do? Would they hire somebody to go up and like prepare the place for us to come up there?
Absolutely. And, we happen to know someone already who is very familiar with the location. We could ask if Skein would be willing to go up and show us around.
Well, sure, but I was thinking more like getting the rooms ready and making sure that like all the utilities and that it's the heat's on and everything's going before we ever go up there to start with. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you spend some time arranging that, actually. There's a maid service on the island that can be sent up. And then there's also some handy person shops around that will make it so that the heat and pipes and everything are good to go before any of the family goes up. Mm-hmm. And then Allison's also, do you think I should have everybody up? I mean everybody who's left, they haven't found where William and Kit got to, right? And I don't want William to come. I mean, you know.
I was just going to ask, do you really want to have William and Kit over at your house?
No. But I mean, if they're back, then I guess it would be the right thing to do. I mean, just because I had that weird dream, of his face in the mirror, I don't know that that's enough to warrant him, excluding him. I mean, he was nothing but nice.
I was thinking more of the vibes I got from this man in the in the reading of the will and the difficulty he seemed to have accepting what he had been left. But sure, absolutely, the dream is the pertinent information here.
She says that about he seemed like nothing but nice, and then we have a cutaway to him jamming a glass shard into Carl's neck.
No, absolutely, but I'm just saying it would be highly unfortunate if we were to, have these maids go up and clear up the house and then have him walk in with his absolutely rancid vibes and ruin the entire thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're right. Oh, man. I'm probably going to need to get curtains and stuff. All this stuff, they don't have that much here. This is going to have to be like ordered online. Should I be ordering things online now so that they'll get here? I don't know where to even begin. Should I hire somebody to do all of this?
I'm certain you could. You may want to see the place first, or perhaps, if you're going to hire people, you could hire someone who is in interior design to come out and take a look at the bones of the house and see what they would recommend.
That's a good idea, and we fade out on that conversation as you delve deeper into the things that might need to be done, and in fact are pretty busy for a couple of days making phone calls and setting those things up, especially since phone service on the island is spotty at best. As Candace Caine can commonly be heard cursing about in the lodge bar, cell phone service ain't all that great either, despite the tower that sits on top of Fog Mountain. Jason, what have you been up to for the last couple of days then?
Yeah, Jason has, pretty much cutting down to what was really given and ensuring that the deeds aren't fake, getting all of the notarized stamped seals, proof of approval. I assume a lot of that was done during the will, or right after the reading of the will. But going down, making sure that the bank account is stable, and
you could be trying very hard to track down this one piece of paperwork for like 2 days.
It's going to take a couple of days to get all that set up with the bank anyway before I get full,
custody
access to the lighthouse. So yeah, of course I wanted to spend time with Skein and find out more about Mom. wanted to find out a little bit more about Gigi and Allison and some of the other family that I'm only partially related to.
In that case, Skein spends a fair bit of time with you, but of course not all the time. And you find yourself spending a lot of time at the Spirit Bay Lodge, where you're down in the bar. Does Jason drink at all, or?
Jason does imbibe, yes. Not excessively.
You're down in the bar, and Candace Caine is there. You know the name now, because she has been in and out of the clinic where Carl is being tended to. Still unconscious, Carl is, but alive. He took a pretty nasty cut to the throat, but it actually managed to miss his jugular. Was very bloody, and it was touch and go for a second. And also, once they got it stabilized, they thought that it was best if he stayed on the island rather than risking, taking him off by helicopter because of his age. And he has stabilized, but he has not regained consciousness yet. But Candace, who is apparently his daughter-in-law, has been in and out of the clinic down there. So you see her down there when you go to check in on Carl. She's also in the bar of the Spirit Bay Lodge quite a bit, and has in fact taken some interest in you, Jason, and asks you all sorts of questions that you don't even know the answers to. Like, what was the whole deal with, Lazaro Caine and your mum, and all of that. And what are you going to do with your lighthouse and all your money?
Oh,
darling, let me get you another drink.
I really could only relay what I found out from the horrid video that was the reading of the will. I knew nothing of this family. I was put up for adoption at a young age. I don't know you. I don't know anything that binds this family. I know nothing of the tree. I am barely finding out about my own mother. But hey,
darling, that's so sad.
Yeah, and I got a lighthouse out of it. A lighthouse and money to keep it running.
You, and she gives you a look, you are in it now.
By in it, what do you mean?
Oh, I mean, the Caine family is eccentric at best. I mean, you don't know any of them, but I knew Carl and his son, of course. And well, oh my. But anyway, no, you have the lighthouse now, and why, doll, you're in the world now. What did you do before this? Before you became a lighthouse keeper?
Trying to think of the best way to phrase it, especially in this situation. I'm what you might call an illusionist.
Oh?
Yeah. One of my foster parents, I call him actually my foster brother. He was more than just somebody who looked out for me. He was somebody who cared for me. But he got me interested in the carnival life, and it just started when I was in my mid-teens. Started working at some of the local shows, got signed on with a circus eventually, mostly just stagehand stuff, helping clean things, help keep things running, man the ticket booth. But then I started learning a little bit of, sleight of hand, and a little mastery of the magician arts.
Well, that's fascinating. Why, I've never, and so you both talk for a little while, and then eventually, though, she stands up, signs off on the tab because she was buying your drinks.
Why, thank you.
And starts to leave, and then turns back and hands you something, and leans forward and whispers in your ear, come up in a while, and maybe you can make my clothes disappear. And then she turns and walks away. And she's handed you a room key.
As she hands it and I bid her farewell, I use my sleight of hand to slip it back into her coat pocket.
All right. Well, that's a roll, I think. You're looking to beat a 15.
Let's see. Obscure?
Oh, I thought don't you have like, is that not a specialization? Sleight of hand?
It is, actually. So that's actually a 9. So all I need to do is roll a 5. A 6.
A 6.
Yeah, a 6. 2 and a 7. So yeah, that's 18.
So you slip it back into her pocket, and yeah, she turns and saunters off. And so it goes. Candace, who insists that you call her Candy, flirtatious advances toward you.
Jason will not be calling her Candy.
And Skein talks to you about your shared mother, and a couple of days pass this way, and word does come, actually, that Carl's vitals are shifting for the better, and the doctors are very hopeful that he will wake up in a day or so and be all better, or at least on the mend. He is 90, after all. But you happen to be talking with Gigi and Allison at one point during the day when word comes to Allison that the house is all in preparedness.
Well, shall we finish our drinks and head up the hill?
Are you inviting me along?
I mean, it's Allison's call here.
Oh, absolutely. Certainly, absolutely. I mean, you want to go see your lighthouse too, don't you? I mean, it's right behind the house.
Oh, please. That would be great. I am still waiting on, the final countdown. I'm sorry. I just all of a sudden pictured
countdown.
like as they're pulling up to the mansion and you see the lighthouse rise up behind them. Ba-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da-da. All right. Yes, because I mean, I've spent the last couple of days with you, and I think it's good to really see this side of the family. And when I do have access to the lighthouse, I would love for you both to come join as well.
We should have a photo shoot on top of it. I would love to get a selfie up there.
Also, I like your car better, Jason, than Gigi's. And she smiles at Gigi. Gigi smells like rental.
It's a terrible. Never rent a silver sedan. They all smell like old people.
Well, off to Bluty it is, then.
You head out to the parking lot. The day is really quite lovely. There are large patches of blue sky, and the greenery has really started to pop on the island itself because of the recent snow and rain.
How about the temperature?
The temperature is still quite chilly.
Top stays on, then.
Yeah, not warm enough to have the top down, but it is pleasant with this. Whenever the sun is hitting the road that you're driving through, it's almost warm in the Jeep, and you do drive through large patches of brightness, alternating with shadow as you drive the island road, winding along the cliffs, even higher to its highest point, which runs about 180 feet above sea level there at the cliffs. And you come around the head and you see an astonishing sight, Jason. Now, Gigi, you've seen the house before and the lighthouse, but you were much younger. It has been a while. And despite Skein wanting to drive you guys up this way in the Auburn these past couple of days, just never really had the chance between everything else that was going on. And Skein ended up spending a lot of time down at the clinic too with Carl. And so as you come around the head and see the house and the lighthouse laid out before you, you are kind of above them both. The road dips down into some trees some tall pines that surround the property. And you see the house, which is this sprawling 2, maybe 3-story thing. It's hard to tell because There are so many gables on it, so many wings. And it looks kind of haphazard, not like the other buildings that you've seen in Spirit Bay and on Elk Island. There's different architectural styles, kind of all mishmashed together.
What, like the Winchester House?
A lot like the Winchester House, yeah.
That was exactly what I was picturing.
Awesome.
2 basements that are unconnected,
And in fact, Gigi, there's expansions on this that you don't recall from the last time you were here, which has been a while.
Of course, I was a lot littler, and I may not have had the perspective that I do now. I mostly remember the overgrown bamboo in one of the gardens.
Allison's just looking out the window, with her face almost pressed to the glass, just looking. You do see smoke coming from a couple of the chimneys of the house. But behind the house, Jason, is a large open area, like a lawn almost. And then it reaches the cliffside where it's very jagged, but not jagged down, it's jagged up. So that there's almost a cliff, well, almost at the base of a cliff at the end of this lawn, rather than looking out over the water. But you see from your angle that those are really just 2 large upjutting formations of stone, and that beyond them and beyond a cleft between them, accessed by what for all the world looks like a suspension bridge that goes about 90 or 100 feet out, a pretty long ways, is a spur of rock sticking up out of the sound. And on top of that spur of rock is a house. And rising up out of the house is the lighthouse. And in the daytime here, it glints in the sunlight that occasionally falls across it as the patches of blue move across the sky. But otherwise, it's a pretty simple affair. I mean, the house is 2 stories, and but not large, and then that melds into the tower, which only rises another story or so to the light room itself.
Patrick, why you gotta describe like my perfect living abode?
Right?
It's like, I hate you. It's like, I want this house now.
So that's what you get from me, Jesse, while Sharon in our home 5th edition campaign got her childhood nightmare.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
What, like the Amityville house or something?
No. In our home game, so the earliest nightmare I ever remember having was a giant skeleton in the wall of a jungle temple, and it came alive and pulled itself out of the wall and was really scary. And there was other stuff going on too, but that was the basic. It was a giant skeleton. So in the home game, one of our boss battles was fighting a giant skeleton. So it was just like, oh my god, this is so weirdly cathartic.
A giant skeleton that ripped itself out of a stone cliffside.
It pulled itself out of a stone cliffside, yeah.
And it was 150 feet tall. You didn't mention that part about the giant skeleton either.
I'm having flashbacks to when I was 3. This is so weird,
That's crazy. Oh, I've always dreamed of living in a lighthouse. Anyway, the suspension bridge, like walking suspension, driving suspension.
Oh, definitely walking. Yeah,
walking only.
No car could get across that, or even if it was wide enough, which it is not, you wouldn't want to. Now, you do have a flash imagery of Skein perhaps trying to drive a motorcycle across it, but
yeah.
So no, you're driving your blue Jeep Wrangler, and you're heading down toward those trees. Allison just looks out the window and goes, "Is that mine? I mean, I don't remember it being so big."
I remember it being a lot bigger, but then we were a lot smaller.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I guess so. And she laughs.
Do you remember the hearth in the great room? We used to sit on it and pretend we were making potions by smushing flowers against the stones.
Yeah.
It's a lot to take in, and that you guys have grown up around this is just amazing.
Well,
I am just in awe of the sheer enormity of this place. It does kind of take me back to, like, some of those circus days and the weird mishmash haphazardness of all the tents together. And this is one of those kind of houses that just make you go,
The road actually breaks off from the island road, which presumably goes on around to, Gigi, goes around to the northwest side of the island, where there is a whale watching park that looks out over the sound. But the driveway to the manor house is blacktop, recently cleaned, it appears. And you drive down, Jason, through a set of gates that don't attach to any fence. It's just a set of gates on either side of the blacktop. And there is just a C at the top of each one in wrought iron. And there's no gate even to this gate. It's just these two pillars on either side of these markers that you are now crossing into Caine property.
Just giant gate posts. Okay.
And then you drive through this copse of trees, tall, old-growth pines. At least some of them are. And the blacktop then enters this set of gardens in front of the house itself with a big circular drive. And you are there. And it's even bigger up close and even more of a mishmash of architectural styles. Anything from Gothic to colonial to contemporary.
So, front door?
Front door. Allison, if you would do the honors.
Allison holds up her keychain, which is still this giant iron ring with these huge skeleton keys on it. I mean, she's not a big person, and so this key ring thing is about the size of her head. It's like, I've really got to figure out something else for these, but can I even get a new lock for doors that...
I'm certain you can. You may have to replace the entire door, but you can do that as well.
You get out of the Jeep and you see that said doors, at least the front ones, are 15-foot monstrosities.
Oh, jeez.
That are made of ancient wood. I don't think I can replace those, says Allison.
Maybe not the front doors. Maybe those could be like a point of historical interest, but I'm sure the other doors around the place you could, wow, these are big.
Well, what are you waiting for, Allison?
I don't know. I mean, this is so strange. And she puts the key in the door, and the door swings open without her turning the key. It appears to be unlocked.
Is it like still in her hand? She's just like stumbles a little bit forward, holding the key as the door opens in front of her.
Absolutely. She stumbles a few steps forward, chasing the door with the key as it swings open in front of her. And then there's just a gasp that the other two of you hear from inside. And she goes, I don't remember it like this at all.
Yes, to be honest, I mostly remember the children's table and the that one back garden with the overgrown bamboo.
The doors open into a short foyer, but that then goes into the great room, a large open area, 2 stories, crossed with old beams, with chandeliers hanging down in a rustic style, much like the Spirit Bay Lodge. And 2 fireplaces and a lot of what looks like very comfortable furniture. And you do recognize it from the video that Lazaro Caine made of the will, but it is much bigger in person. The way that where he was, made it look like it was pretty close and cozy. And it has that aspect to it in a lot of ways, but it's pretty big.
You know, it makes sense that he would film that here. I imagine that he started moving further and further towards the front of the building as he got older, as for convenience sake. I know that those oxygen tanks are a great deal to move about from place to place.
So this is what you guys grew up with, as Jason looks around. And so this is not like a great hall. This is kind of like a receiving room.
It's more like walking straight into a living room, but one with several different sitting areas, at least 2 in front of the 2 main fireplaces.
Any other like main features like bookshelves or bar, anything like that?
There is a bar over on one wall next to the fireplace. Gigi spots that immediately.
I wonder if there's anything left in there.
And you can see off to the right as you're coming through the main doors that it opens up into a dining hall with a very long, polished mahogany table. And then there's a hallway going off to the left.
And Jason looks down it and gives a nice little whistle. And it echoes back to him.
And then straight ahead is a short hallway, but it's wide, and then stairs that do go up. But there's not the big swooping open stairwells that you might expect in a place like this.
Well, where should we go first? The kitchen? Up the stairs? Into... I don't remember what's up the stairs.
Allison, it's your place. What do you think? What do you want to see first?
We've been living in a hotel for a long time. I hope that you guys will join me here for at least a little while. Well, I guess you have a house back behind here, don't you, Jason?
Yeah, and I get to look at this every day.
Well, if you can see it through the, through the fingers. Yeah, I guess upstairs. Let's take a look at the bedrooms.
All right.
I'm game.
You guys spend some time exploring the house. The thing is that it is very much like the Winchester house, and a lot of this you don't remember, Gigi, because it's new construction, new in the past, 5 to 10 years. And it's stairways that go nowhere. And it's doors that open onto blank walls or out, into just air out into the yards. It's windows that look into other rooms of the house. It's trapdoors that don't seem to go to the room that's below them, but yet somehow must make some sort of physical sense, but without actually making a map and going through all of it that way. There's no way of really knowing for sure, because you can really easily get tangled up in this house. And so for that reason, and hey, just to see how things go for rolls this evening, let's go ahead and... How about making... I think I do escape too much. How about making some identify rolls? That way you can identify the right paths to take.
Not it.
Okay. I shall do it. I think you rolled last, actually. So
I did. That's why I said not it.
Okay. It's a 17 for identify.
And again, Patrick, thank you for bringing this beautiful monstrosity of a house
Yes,
that
this is
just
amazing.
like the Winchester house into being.
This is exactly what I was picturing. When I was a kid, we looked at buying a house, and all I remember about it was that the closet in the master bedroom. Me and my sister went into it, and it extended way far to the left. So we followed this closet, and the walls got narrower and narrower. We just kept going deeper and deeper into this closet. And then we opened up a doorway, and we were on the landing of the stairs. It was very bizarre. I've never experienced anything like it in my life.
There's a hallway at one of the McMinimans out here near Portland that... you open a secret door, and then you go down this hallway, but the hallway does slope as you're going down it, and so you wind up on the first floor.
It's the weirdest, yeah.
Which one is that at?
That's out of the Grand Lodge, I believe.
That is the Grand Lodge out in Hills. Is it Hillsborough? Yeah.
Forest Grove.
Forest Grove.
Yeah.
Forest Grove.
That's
yeah,
a fun
it's on
one.
the
I like
edge
Grand
there.
Lodge. Yeah, that's a fun one.
So yeah, you spend the better part of the afternoon just wandering around, and you find all sorts of weird little rooms. Nothing, I mean, many of them don't even seem to have any real purpose. Eventually, you do find your way back to the kitchen, where there's a long list of things that the maid service wrote down, and a lot of it is, we couldn't find this room again, so we're not sure we cleaned it. So terribly sorry about that.
I read it out loud. I'm just laughing uproariously the whole time. They couldn't find... Did we just look at that room? Was that one of the rooms that we saw upstairs?
If I wasn't following you guys, I would be lost still.
Yes, one day we'll be comfortable enough to split up and try mapping things like those many trapdoors, which I'm pathologically obliged to open.
I sure hope the lighthouse isn't built like this.
I guess we could go look.
At least it's only 3 floors.
I don't have the keys yet, but we could take a wander down there and check it out.
Let's do it. I desire to see some sunlight after this weird maze of hallways.
Strange that you should say that, because when you go out through the back doors, which also open onto some gardens close in, and they're all in winter hibernation mode, but Allison is obviously going to need some landscaping done come spring. But the sky has clouded over a bit more. There's fewer gaps of blue above, although there are still some. But it is brisk and a lot of cool, fresh air after the closeness of the house, even though the rooms had been mostly cleaned and everything smelled a little bit of cleaner, but it had that, closed-in feeling of a house in the winter. And so you come out and it's kind of pleasant back here in what Allison and Gigi referred to as the croquet lawn.
Yes, do you remember we didn't know the rules to croquet, so we made them up, and golly, I don't remember. Were we supposed to hit the balls into the pond, or was it around the pond and they just kept going in?
Hey, that's right. Didn't there used to be a pond?
There did used to
Allison
be a pond.
looks around.
It wasn't large. I remember there being frogs, and Kit caught one and it peed on him.
Huh, I don't
Do you
remember
remember?
that. No.
He cried. It was amazing.
Was that one party?
The one with the bad
one?
punch?
Yes.
Yes, the frog thing was the best thing to happen at the whole party.
He cried? Wasn't he in his, 20s or 30s?
Oh, I thought he was about 17.
I don't remember. Yeah, so there are paths, somewhat overgrown, although it looks like the people that came out to work on the place did some small amount of clearing back here. But that is one of the things on the notes. It's has a stapled business card for some landscapers. And these all lead back to the edge of the island, but it doesn't have that acrophobic feel right there, because there are these two jagged pillars of rock that create kind of a wall in the back of the lawn. But there is a break in between them that down toward the cliff itself is teardrop shaped. And then it narrows as you get higher up until it's a slit that runs all the way up, splitting the two rocks into pillar shapes rather than just one big slab.
So the gap itself is teardrop shaped?
The gap itself is teardrop shaped, yes.
Gotcha.
The spurs of rock are actually more like if you took a pan flute and broke it into a couple of pieces and then slammed it down on the side of the island. Jesse now lifts up a pan flute. And then beyond that are the structural pieces, these huge, just massive braces for this suspension bridge that goes 90 feet at least across this expanse of nothing. You can look down and see straight down for about 130 feet or so.
Yeah, as I approach, I would look back to Allison and Gigi and be like, okay, if I take the first step?
It's your lighthouse now, I guess, says Allison.
All right. You guys have been over here, though, before.
I don't
have
actually,
we? I mean,
I don't
we had to have,
remember.
right?
I mean, all the running and tagging and hiding games we played, we went across this bridge.
When we were young, our parents might not have let us, but surely I don't remember ever.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I mean,
No,
the
I've always
lighthouse,
having gone over to
the
the
lighthouse was here, right?
Yeah.
It was it?
It
No,
was.
surely it was. It had
No,
to have been.
it was definitely here. It was made by it was built by
It was one of the ancestors, wasn't it?
yeah, it was
It was
Lazaro's
great grandfather.
Okay,
father.
you guys
or
gotta
grandfather.
get your family tree down and show me that sometime. In the meantime, let's go check it out. Come on. Where's your adventure spirit?
So the bridge itself is well made. It is very structurally sound, it appears. But it is a suspension bridge. It's got cables, big steel cables that run in parallel across it. But the main structure of it is more cables, but then wood slats all the way across. And there are some gaps in those. Nothing big enough to fall through, although you could put a foot through one. And you, like I said, you can look straight down over the railing, such as it is, which could easily be slipped through, even though there are cross wires. It would be difficult, but not impossible to slip in such a way that you might go through and go over. So you could definitely see why kids would not be allowed, unsupervised at least, to cross over to what is apparently called the Finger of God.
Okay, so who knows that name and who told it to me?
Yeah, where did you hear that name?
Well, it just looks like a finger, doesn't it? I'm certain one of the lawyers told us.
Yeah, it was. It was Wolfgang said, but we would have known that. But I don't remember telling you that. This is weird. Are you feeling weird?
Me? Am I feeling weird? Of course, absolutely. This house is extraordinarily strange. I love it dearly.
Well,
for some unknown reason, the tension goes up 3.
The tension on the suspension bridge.
That's not a bad thing.
Not the tension points, but the tension.
The tension on the bridge.
And as you look down, you can see the waters crashing against the rocks below. You can see that there's actually here at maybe low tide. Any of you know what that would be, low tide? Would you have that knowledge in your heads?
Yeah, Jason has spent some time on beaches.
Yeah, Jason, you have been doing a lot of research here in the last couple of days on lighthouses and on the local tides and weather and such. You know, you're going to be living out here on a lighthouse, or or at least visiting it. So you know it's currently at low tide, and you can see that there's a stony beach around the so-called Finger of God down there below. It looks like there might even be some caves or something. And roll for me, if you would, an identify check.
Okay, and Sharon had the last roll, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, identify. Oh. 19.
Okay.
No, that's not right. 16. It is actually a 16.
Okay. I don't have to spend any attention points. Jason, as you are crossing, you look over the edge and you're looking at the beach down below. You see that there is rocky beach on both sides, both the main island and the so-called Finger of God. And you see some dark spaces down there on both sides, and you think you see something moving, but it's difficult to tell for sure. And then there's a gust of wind that causes the suspension bridge actually doesn't sway a lot. It's not that powerful a wind, but it rocks just enough that not being familiar with the suspension bridge makes you look away for a moment. And when you look back, you don't see anything, but out on some rocks a ways away from the finger, you see a half a dozen seals out on a rock. So you think maybe that must be what you saw, even though they don't seem large enough or shaped quite right, but whatever.
So I dismiss it. Okay.
You continue across to I can't call it an island, but to the spur of rock, which is pretty flat on the top. It has a slight slope away from the main island, but the house on it has been structurally built to, of course, be flat.
Okay.
Level. Level's the word I'm looking for. And yes, there it is. It's a white clapboard building.
Shall we have a look around, ladies?
Now this is a house. A normal house. One can count the windows. You know exactly how many rooms are in there. And there's a normal-sized door with, I assume, a normal-looking key.
I can't tell you how grateful I am that it is not a mishmash of architecture that the manor is.
Oh, unless you include the spires sticking out of its spine. But, that's...
I've always enjoyed lighthouses, getting up there and just looking out at the sea, and, I mean, the history behind them, and warning the ships of dangers nearby. I love the symbolism of it, and just that it's a beacon for the weary traveler.
Yeah, it looks like there's maybe 2 large rooms. Well, large being comparative to the rest of the building. 2 large rooms on the main floor. The windows are too dirty, really, to look in. You can kind of peer up there and kind of get an idea of space behind them, but nothing really stands out to you. Just some notion of maybe some furniture and such in there. But there is a wraparound deck railed on the main floor. It goes all the way around to the steps that go up to the front door. There's also a back door that does the same, but there's this wooden walkway all the way around. And it is partially covered by an awning from the second floor. And then on the second floor, on one of the sides, on the west side, there is a deck that juts out from the rest of the building. A big, broad patio almost, where you could put like patio furniture or something if you wanted. And that looks like it's accessed from the Widow's Walk, or whatever it's called in a lighthouse, that circles the lighthouse proper up at the 3rd floor of the whole thing.
Okay, you guys are going to have to come join me for sunsets up on that deck. Am I right, Gigi?
Absolutely. I was just about to say I've always wanted to, pace back and forth as if in distress on a widow's walk wearing a long white dress or nightgown.
What about you, Allison?
Allison's just staring at the lighthouse, actually.
Allison? Are you okay, Allison?
Oh.
Gorgeous, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I spaced out there for a minute. I think it was in the will. I think Uncle Lazaro mentioned it. Finger of God?
Oh, you might be right. I'm certain we heard it somewhere recently.
Oh, anyway, yeah, this is pretty awesome. Colder out here, though.
Windy.
Yeah, there's a lot windier, although you have a lot of patio space. I hope you have a lot of warm clothes, Jason.
Hey, it's not hard to get a couple extra hoodies.
Oh, we shall have to come back in the, what's a time of year when it's not windy up here? Early summer? June? Have a party on the deck?
Summers are always really pretty warm here. Where do you live now, Gigi? I guess in the past few days we haven't really talked about that.
Yes, I'm down in the Bay Area.
Like San Francisco? Okay.
Yes. It gets cold and foggy, but it's a different climate, little wetter up here.
Oh yeah, I've played in that town.
And you do try the doors, presumably, but they don't open their lock as you rather expected.
Kind of frustrating, but expected. Well, shall we head back before it gets too cold?
Oh, that's true. I was going to ask if there are any convenient drain pipes or anything, but the sun is starting to tilt downwards, isn't it?
Drain pipes?
For climbing up to the 2nd story and seeing if any of the windows up there are open.
Someone was wanting to be very athletic about it. Yes, there are ways up.
Not that I've done that myself, mind you.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could, though.
Yeah, my specialty is definitely not parkour.
You couldn't vanish me and I'd reappear inside the lighthouse? That would be convenient.
Yeah.
Well, did we haven't moved our stuff up here yet, right? We were thinking about moving into the house, but we haven't committed.
Allison says, well, yeah, it would have, a few days ago, it would have been easy for me to move everything up here.
Now listen, just because you have a proper amount of clothing now doesn't mean it's not going to be movable. Think of all the closet space you have to fill.
Now the biggest thing you got to worry about is which closet and where does it go.
And then to find the closet again.
You can put one dress in each closet in the house, and then wherever you are, you'll be able to find something fresh to wear.
And you all laugh and cross back over the suspension bridge. But you head back down to the lodge for the evening, or you're not staying at the lodge, Jason? So.
The last couple of nights I have been. It's just been easier because it's paid for. Jason's always keeping an eye on what he is spending. If he doesn't need to spend it, he doesn't. So since the lodge was offered for an indefinite amount of time for the stay, for the will reading, I think he would have stayed there and at least been closer to try and dig a little bit more information out of Skein and also the rest of the family. Plus, it's a little bit closer and easier to get to downtown to check on Carl once in a while, because I am still kind of concerned about Carl.
That's definitely true.
So that makes sense. Did you bring stuff in?
Yeah, I packed up my bags from the Airbnb and moved up to the lodge.
Okay. Going back across the suspension bridge as you're laughing, go ahead and roll me the investigate checks again.
Who rolled last? It was me noticing the seals, or what seemed to be seals.
Identify. I can do math. It's 12.
You too, Gigi. You don't necessarily see any reason to comment on it, but you see something down below moving, and it appears to be on the mainland beach side, on the main island side. Something dark moving in the shadows, but again, you look away for a moment, and then when you look back, there's nothing there. But you do seem to see those seals are sunning themselves whenever there's sun available on some slabs of smooth, water-polished rocks that have been exposed by the low tide.
I hope you like the sound of sea lions barking, or whatever those are. Seals? Sea lions? I can never remember the difference.
It's usually not too bad. Like I said, I've spent a little bit of time on the coasts, so I'm familiar with it, and it doesn't bother me. I love the sounds. I love the seagulls, the eagles. The sound of the waves crashing in. It's just a beautiful thing.
I'd rather have a nice sound system, but, you do you.
The day does grow long, and you all return to the lodge for one last night there.
We'll have to pick up something to eat before we go up to the house tomorrow. I just remembered that we've gotten used to eating here in the restaurant at the lodge, and we should make sure that we don't starve up there in that big house.
Well, if you want, I believe Skein said something about meeting up at the Bad Fish Brewery. Is there a Bad Fish Brewery, Patrick?
There is now. Fine, just build my town around me.
I mean, if you're hungry, I'm always down for a little grub and a beer before we head back to the lodge.
Absolutely. I simply, I am always 100% down to go to a brewery. I meant we should take food with us when we move our things up to the house.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You'll need to get your keys to the lighthouse from the Hearts, Jason.
Yeah, they should be in tomorrow, so hopefully that all works out okay.
So the night goes. You actually, having talked about it, end up going to the Bad Fish for your evening meal, which is not covered by the law offices of Hart and Hart, while you all are staying here under the small trust fund that they are administering for that purpose.
Finally, somebody in town that isn't, involved in this whole Caine nonsense.
Yes, and, finally food that's not lodge food.
And in response, Allison says, I believe you're more Caine than any of us.
Yeah, if only I knew who I was.
Beer?
Beer sounds great.
I would like the briniest, saltiest, fishiest tasting ale they have on the menu.
That just sounds wrong. Where is Skein anyway?
And so you wonder, because you have not seen Skein for, now that you think about it, maybe for about a day. Certainly today, when you were up at the house.
They're probably driving around the island in their, whatever their convertible was called, with their hair flowing in the wind, having a grand old time. Does Skein ever show up?
So are you, asking around, or...
Maybe just the bartender and the servers.
Yeah, Skein might have left a message for us at the reception of the lodge, and we never checked.
At the Bad Fish, they're like, who?
Skein, Marcotte, shiny black visor, motorbike, recently came into possession of a incredibly sexy older vehicle.
Oh, the Auburn, the one with the shaven head on the side.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know their name. Sorry, I don't know the names of everybody. We get a lot of tourists.
I would just intimate to Gigi and Allison, from talking to Skein over the past few days, I don't think they would just give this up so easily.
Dinner at the Bad Fish? Absolutely
not.
I
would thought they would be here. They said they were going to be, and I just didn't get anything from Skein that...
Was this solid plans, or did Skein maybe mention it as a theoretical?
Could totally been a theoretical.
I haven't seen them since yesterday. I mean, we talked maybe about, having one more meal down here before heading, before we all did our things. But I wanted everybody to come up to the house too, and they were cool with that as well. I don't think there was anything solid there.
Right.
But we were gone all day, so I don't know. I mean, maybe we should have asked if they wanted to come up with us.
That's possible.
That's true.
I mean, let's go check at the lodge then and see if they're there. I just Skein had to mention this place, so I had thought possibly they would be here.
Tonight is the night of identify rolls. So go ahead. It's back to Jesse.
18.
You don't find anything out at the Bad Fish, but when you go into the lodge, there is a message from Skein for Jason, and it says, came by to see if you wanted to go driving today, but not here, so I'm going driving today. See you tonight at the Bad Fish, like we agreed upon.
Skein said they were going to be at the Bad Fish later. We didn't see Skein down there. No, we weren't here. They went driving, said, hey, maybe we can meet up at the Bad Fish later, and now we're back here and we haven't seen Skein.
Well, I only mean that maybe they meant 8 o'clock, and we went down there at maybe 6:30.
What?
What time is it? I don't know. We might have missed them. We went back down into town when the sun went down.
P.S. If I miss you, I'll leave a note. Kisses. Haven.
Is that a hint?
No.
Okay. Okay, so no.
They've taken this piece of lodge stationery, and then they wrote really big scrawly on the front, and then on the back it said P.S. I'll leave you a note if I miss you, just in case.
My question is, leave a note here or at the Bagfish?
Bro.
I'm sure if Skein had left a note at the Bad Fish, the Bad Fish would have remembered Skein.
Right, especially when we brought him up there.
So Skein must not be back yet, is all. How big is this island? How long does it take to
You happen
around
to be talking about this still there in the lobby, and the concierge says, and this is the same one that helped you and Allison the other night. He says, if I can remember his accent. What was his accent?
It changed.
I think it was one of these things that you kind of do that's like...
Yeah, your friends, Mix Marcotte, left that note for you there, but they were also looking at the maps of the state park, on the southwest side. And Jason, your hunting cabin that you were renting is actually back over that way. It's on the South Island Road, which they don't call the South Island Road here. They call it the South Road, which winds a little bit further inland on the island than the North Island Road does.
Okay.
But it winds along the south side and then kind of in and up through the hills. And then before you actually get too far up the side of Fog Mountain, there's a forestry road that goes up to this cabin that you were staying at. It was really remote. There were no neighbors hardly anywhere.
Huh.
And Skein does know that you were staying up there, but they also know that you've been staying the last night or two in the lodge.
So the South Road. I wonder if they were going up to the old hunting lodge. Gigi, didn't you get the hunting lodge?
I got a hunting lodge. I haven't seen the place yet.
Are you not interested?
I'm interested. It's a place. It's got 4 walls and a roof, hasn't it? It's
hunting lodge. It's a place.
Amazing. I'm hanging a sign that says that over the door in universe. It's happening. I thought it was, a lodge is, a cabin rather, is such a less of an immediate kind of attention-needing thing than my dear cousin here, who needs and deserves all the attention and support she can get at this time with this massive sprawling.
Also, Wolfgang said that there was a border there.
Okay, so it is the hunting lodge is the same one that...
Wolfgang did not say that it was Jason, but once you start putting things together, then it does seem fairly likely.
Over the last couple of days, as we discussed at the lodge, we would have been like, oh yeah, it's the same one.
Yeah, no, I didn't feel like it was urgent. It's obviously habitable, and clearly the electricity and water are on, or else they wouldn't have allowed anyone to stay there, and so I didn't think it was...
Yeah, Jason, the heat was a fireplace and a wood stove, and the electric was a kerosene lamp and a generator.
Yeah. No, which I totally got along with for a little while, but loved to get into town. I mean, if Skein went driving down this area, maybe we should check it out and see if they are okay.
Yeah, I haven't been down that way yet. It might be interesting to see a little more of the place, albeit at night, but that'll just make seeing it in the daytime more exciting.
Allison, you in?
I guess, sure. Yeah, why not? I should be packing, I suppose. Would rich people hire somebody to do their packing for them?
Of course they would, darling. They'd have them carry their bags up there. They'd hire a truck. It would all be a big affair, but you wouldn't have to do anything.
Are you doing a Candace?
I knew I liked you. I toast Jason with my cocktail.
Cheers, darling.
Cheers, darling.
Yeah, after confirming everything with the concierge, you go pile into the Jeep and head off around the south side. It is past sunset now, and no moon or stars because of the overcast that you can see, so it's just the headlights of the Jeep spearing through the night as you head along the much less populated south side of the island.
You really should see this in the day, you guys. It is beautiful country out here. I've walked through a lot of these woods, and when the fog rolls in, it gives like this fun, eerie experience as you're walking through the trees.
The moment nymphs come out of the forest and dance with you, let me know and I'll be interested.
Oh, I wish.
You're driving down this 2-lane road. There are actually still branches down here and there from the snow of the 2 days before, but those look like they have been pushed off to the side by somebody. But still, it's just the high beams of the Jeep shining ahead of you, illuminating a cone in the darkness, the pines flashing by on either side. No real sense of distance or even time or space here, because it's just all the Jeep slicing through this landscape of trees. No idea of even if you're going up or down, or if you're close to the cliffs on the south side or not. You pass a sign pretty early on that says Elk Island State Park, and then it says managed by Caine County. And give me, if I move the darn marker, I'm going to roll. I am going to be trying, let's see. So, you're driving along, and Jason, you see someone standing on the side of the road.
Shia LaBeouf.
And it's just for a second. And so I'm going to roll against your identify, actually. And I got a 13.
Yeah, you tied.
That means I succeed at my obscuring. And so as you're driving along, you think you see a figure on the side of the road. What do you pass by it so quickly, though, that hard to be sure, but you could have sworn it was Carl.
Oh, wow. Hitting the brakes and being like, did you guys see that?
See what?
I'm in the back seat. No, I didn't see anything.
I was busy making up a song about the house. The front door connects to the great room. The great room opens to a dining room. Anyway, sorry, what did you see?
Hold on. I know it can't be right, but I think I saw Carl, and I, reverse the Jeep and try and back it around to face the headlights back in the direction where I saw Carl.
Yeah, you have to do, a 4-point turn, but after your 4-point turn, there's nothing back there. If there's anybody there, they had to go into the woods on either side.
I'll open the door and lean out of the Jeep and just holler out, be like, hello?
It's weird out here. It is chilly, cold here at night. There's hardly any wind where you are, but there's wind in the tops of the trees as the branches blow and make a susurrus of sound. That and the idling of the Jeep's engines are the only sounds out here. And it feels more alone than you did most of the time when you were out here staying at the cabin, wandering around.
Must have just been my imagination. Shall we continue on?
Tree stumps, deer, they look like all kinds of weird things in the dark.
Well, we're facing this direction. Should I keep going this way, or should we head back up towards the cabin?
Well, let's continue going towards the cabin, the direction we were going in the first place.
Okay. And hop back in, do another 4-point turnaround.
The road turns to gravel at this point, and you don't know. Actually, Jason, you think that the road may actually circle the entire island, but that it is gravel for a long way through here. But the split off to your cabin is a forestry road that's on up a little ways, and you get to almost to that when you see the auburn in the ditch on the side of the road.
Oh, Lord. Skein!
Uh-oh.
And pull up right behind.
The top is down, but there's the two passenger side wheels are both in deep in a ditch, and it looks like there's gouges dug out of the mud and the snow that's still there, that the auburn just couldn't get out of the ditch.
Okay. At least...
But there's no one in the car.
So that looks as if Skein at least was able to attempt to get the car out, and probably left to go for help.
And that's when, up in the direction of the hunting lodge, you hear what sounds for all the world like a gunshot.
The Gothic Podcast is an actual play audio drama produced by C. Patrick Nagel, starring C. Patrick Nagel, Sharon Gollery-LaFournaise, Jesse Baldwin, and Nathan Addison. Theme music is by Zoe Hovland, with cover artwork by Jared George Art. Season 2 of the Gothic podcast uses rules from the Monster of the Week RPG by Michael Sands and the Dead of the Night RPG by Steam Power Publishing, written by Andrew Kenrick. Look us up by name on all the social medias or email us at thegothicpodcast@gmail.com. Support for the Gothic podcast comes from you, our listeners, so please rate, review, and share. And we have a Patreon page too. Thanks for listening.
You can't make us look behind us. This is just a podcast. It's fictional.